starting the first week of April. So April 1st, April 3rd, April 6th, and April 8th. Those are the dates for the first week in April shows. So that's that first Saturday, that Monday the 3rd, that Thursday the 6th, and then Saturday the 8th. That's when I'll be starting the extra show on Mondays. Now, let me go into the major announcement I've been wanting to get into real quick. So I've been contemplating what can I do to incorporate different walks of life, as far as the community, as far as dealing with music, dealing with politics, etc. So I said, why not bring everybody together on the show, right? But then I said, well, where can I do this show on a bigger scale? I said, hell, I'm going to need a venue. So what's going to happen is next month. So next month is my birthday. My birthday is in April. Shout out to all my Tauruses. All my Tauruses out there, what's up? And with that, I'm going to bring you I'm going to tell you the theme is going to be called. It's going to be called the Taurus Affair. I've done one for the last 8 years, and this is going to be, the last 7 years, and this is going to be the 8th one. And it's going to be called the Taurus Affair. So let me paint the picture for you real quick. I'm going to be doing my show live, and on top of that, here's the catch. It's going to be in a live audience with you, my listeners, are going to actually, who are local, or you might even be in town that weekend. I'm going to give you the venue. You're going to come in. We're going to do it there live. But you're also going to be entertained by some of the independent artists that you hear on some of our shows. From my show to Ed's show to Quill's show to Lowe's show. And we got some special shows coming up too. Some new personalities coming up next month as well. But I'm going to be displaying independent artists period, from spoken word to R&B to rap. And that's going to kick off next month. So party some of your donations that you're able to give. Again, paypal.me/SUT Global Donations are going to help premiere this event. And this is going to be one of our first major events on the SUT radio side, on our entertainment side, where we do an event that's for you, for the community. We're going to have the show live. You're going to get my time on the show. And then we're going to have some artists and entertainers to entertain and perform their music. And it's going to all intertwine. So with that being said, if you know any independent artists, whether it's from spoken word to R&B to rap, hip hop, send them. Have them send my music to me, and they can send music to Sean SHAWN Ward WARD .SUT@gmail.com. So it's Sean SHAWN Ward WARD .SUT@gmail.com. And once you do that, I'm going to select through that music, and they're going to be featured on the show as well. I'm going to let them introduce their music, tell them what projects they're working on, and invite them out to the event, which is going to be next month. It's going to be called the Taurus Affair Weekend, and that's going to be one of the weekend events that we have here at Simple United Radio and the Man Cave Show. And so that's part of my major announcement. as we wind down to this last half an hour of the show. But so these budget cuts, I want to talk about these budget cuts and the significance of these budget cuts. The budget cuts the proposed budget cuts that Trump is getting into, he's for the federal departments, the agency, people have seen it. Now, some people are thinking that it's not going to fly, right? I disagree. I'm going to say that I think this is going to be, I think it's just not even just proposed. I think it's going to be what it is. But there's a few other departments I didn't get into. But here's what black people recognize off top. And that's housing and urban development. That's one. Which is going to experience a 15.5% cut. And let me tell you the significance behind that. So you got federal programs such as HUD, FHA, which minorities use a lot. So with that, what's going to happen is that's going to hurt federal programming for its housing program, which you got Section 8, you got far as placing displaced families, it's going to cut. And he's also, that's not included in there as well, he's also attempted to cut far as public broadcasting. Hint, this is why we're going to need support from our community, from our fans, from our supporters, because public broadcasting is going to be affected, and this is crazy. But what's crazy is that it's crazy that's even happening. So just imagine a generation that's not even going to experience Sesame Street or different public broadcast, National Geographic programming or stuff like that, because like, what are you saving money to do for what? That's something to think about. But the housing program is big because, one, minorities take full advantage of Section 8. Nothing wrong with Section 8. Section 8 waiting list is probably like about 6 years long. And I'm joking, but then I'm not even thinking, I'm exaggerating because it's kind of long. I didn't even realize that till I saw it going around. They were opening up the programs, applicants, pre-registration, and it's like a whole process. And they said the waiting list is like a few years out. So imagine that they're going to cut that even more, which is going to cause a hindrance in people minorities trying to find housing programs, because some people are not able to get adequate housing on their own. So this is going to be really interesting to see how this plays out. But here's what happens. One thing to understand, that a great program that's an alternative to federal housing programming, or FHA, Federal Housing Authority. Now, FHA, Federal Housing Authority, and HUD incorporate programs like the projects in Chicago, like Cabrini Greens, Robert Taylor's. Now, imagine those impoverished conditions still for some of the projects that are still around, like the Argyle Gardens, etc. In New York, you got Queensbridge projects, Brooklyn, etc. Those inadequate housing for minorities. Imagine that program being cut drastically the way it's 15% is a lot, whether you believe or not. 15% of the millions of dollars that's being flooded into it is going to be cut. That's going to affect a lot of people. It's going to put some people homeless, and which means those cuts are probably going to start closing down projects. They're going to start slow funding projects. So, one program that helps first-time home buyers. This is why we have to strengthen our communities. This is why one of my passions is to be able to help assist families better themselves. And I'm saying it starts with the head of the households, where we can educate, inform, stabilize leaders of the households to actually be able to sustain in this time and day and age. One program is great to help with adequate housing for first-time buyers is the NACA program, and you can look online at NACA.com. That program is a lengthy process, but I've heard great things about it. I've seen people go through it, and so understand that this is very, very important. And I don't want to see people affected. I don't want to see the community affected in depth with this situation as far as the displacement process is probably going to get worse with federal cutting to housing, especially with medical. It's a lot, but there are programs still that you just don't need government assistance for, that you can get into. We can get adequate housing. It's important to have a structured roof over your head, affordable housing. Let's stop living above our means, people. Let's start living in accordance to what's going on with us. We black people have this rich mentality, this wealthy mentality, but not understand, or this hood rich mentality. But sometimes if you make $50,000 to $60,000 a year and you feel like you're doing good compared to somebody that's making $23,000 a year, you ever notice that the person that's making less than you is sometimes doing better than you because maybe they value more? So my question would be, and it may sound crazy, but I've seen it. I've seen families who make $30,000 a year, but got they ish together. So I think that black people get in the habit of living above their means, especially in Atlanta, because I live in Atlanta. I'm from Chicago, but I live in Atlanta now, and I noticed that black people live above their means. And when the housing market crashed, right, you can tell who really was affected by the housing market. It was black people losing houses left and right, and they were just blaming it on the economy. But if you're making $60,000-$70,000 a year, it doesn't mean you go get a $500,000 house. That's just absurd. You're making the money, but are you stable enough to? You're paying a $2,000 mortgage. You make $70,000 a year. That's about half your income gone to that. Not even including bills in your house. But this is stuff that we're not informed and educated on, and this is part of the initiative I have with the Man Cave Show, being able to bring people on, help you stabilize, structure households better, because it's a need, because we're living in a time and age now where it should be understood that you have to. It's not just about race. It's about economic class. And this is what we need to strive for in our communities. So I know people were saying that and saying, man, so to help you understand how the budget cuts affect. Now, the small business, now as I look again at this, the small business administration is receiving an 11% cut. And that's kind of big too as well. Now, remember when Obama was in office, he helped restructure the small business program in administration, where they were going out helping people get small businesses, right? Or making it, or the leniency was there. Now it's going to be a little harder because government funding is going to be hard. So what's the alternative, people? Grants. You have grants. There's a lot of grants. Now this is federally funded like grants are, but there's grants out there. You have to research. hire you a legitimate grant writer.